Okay, let's start 4.7, and this is all about the quadratic formula. So this is a very, very useful quadratic or formula. It works for every single quadratic. So anything that is in the ax squared plus bx plus c, that's a quadratic. This will teach you or show you how to solve it. So this will show you if it's a weird, irrational number. It works every single time. It is a little long, but that's okay. Yeah, let's do it. So, and there is a song. I wish I was there because you would have to sing it in class, but I'm not. So let's just do it. So it is, I'll say it first. So it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so I'm going to sing it for you. Are you ready? It's like the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. So it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? So I promise you, if you start singing the song, I remember this years later when I didn't even have to use the quadratic formula. I can memorize it because of that song. So please sing it every single time you have to do it in your head. You don't have to sing it out loud because that would be so embarrassing. But it will help you. So I know it's long, but let's just show you how it works. So where do you get the numbers from? That's the ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's the a, that's the b, that's the c, just like we've been doing in this unit. Okay, how you do this is your first step is you need to set the equation equal to 0. All right, label the a, b, and c, and then plug it into the formula and start going. Okay, here's our first problem. So first we need to get one side equal to 0. So let's subtract that 3. And that gives me x squared plus 8x, negative 6 minus 3 is negative 9, equals 0. All right, now it equals 0, sweet. So let's go ahead and identify. What is my a? Well, my a is 1. What is the b? It's 8. And the c in this case would be negative 9. Don't forget the negative because it matters. All right, so this is, remember, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's plug it in. So we have negative, what's my b term? It's 8. Plus or minus, yes, you have to have the symbol plus or minus, my b squared, so my b is 8 to the second power, minus 4 times my a value, which is 1, times my c value, which is negative 9, all over 2 times my a value, which is 1. I meant to change colors on that, but that 9, yeah. Okay, so, yes, I know this looks crazy. My hint for you is to plug in, whenever you're doing these, of course use a calculator. And I like to plug in what's inside the square root into the calculator first. So go ahead and take the time to just practice that. So you're plugging in 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 9. Just that piece, and it gives you 100 whenever you do it. So please make sure you're practicing doing that. So now I have negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 100, because I just brought all the other stuff over, and then I might as well clean up the bottom. 2 times 1 gives me 2. Okay, so getting closer to the end. So what is the square root of 100? Well, we can do that easily, right? That's just 10. So now I have 2 problems. I have negative 8 plus 10 divided by 2, right? Because of the plus or minus. And now I have the negative version as well. So negative 8 minus 10 divided by 2. And if you don't feel like thinking, of course you can put this in your calculator and Desmos will do it for you. It's great. So the first one, So this would be x equals, these are going to be whole number answers on these ones. So that would be positive 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then the other one would be negative 18 divided by 2, which is negative 9. So this one has two solutions at 1 and negative 9. Okay? All right, so let's do another one. Of course, we need to get a 0 on one side, so I'm going to minus 6. So I have 4x squared minus 4x minus 15 equals 0. I find it always helps to write out what your a, b, and c is, just to kind of help you while you're learning this. So your a is 4, your b is negative 4, and your c is negative 15. Okay, ready for the song. I'm going to write the formula every single time. I hope you do too. I know some of you won't, but if you do, I promise it will help you memorize it more. So it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And yeah, I know I'm ridiculous. I'm fine. Like, it doesn't bother me. You can make fun of me. Please don't make a meme out of me or a TikTok, because that would be embarrassing. But it would be kind of funny at the same time. If you do, send it to me. Just don't do it. Okay, sorry. So I have negative, and our b is negative 4. So negative times negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So I have negative 4. Actually, let me switch colors. Negative 4 to the second power. And since it's a negative being raised to the second power, you must have parentheses around it. Minus 4 times your a, which is also 4, times c, which is negative 15. Okay, all over, let me extend that, 2 times my a, which is 4. So 2 times 4. All right, take a second, pause the video, put that stuff under the square root, all of this, in your calculator, and let's see if we get the same thing. Okay, so whenever you do that, you should get 256. So I have the square root of 256 plus or minus, and then let's kind of clean up everything else. Over on the left, I have negative 4 times negative 4, so negative 4, which would make that a positive 4. And in the denominator, I have 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay? All right, it's looking a little better, so let's keep cleaning it up. So you can take the square root of 256 evenly. It is on the bottom row at the top of the board. The square root of 256 is 16. All right, so this is 4 plus 16 divided by 8. And 4 minus 16 divided by 8. Okay, and when you solve that, that would be, what, 20 over 8? Which it is a fraction, and that's okay. You have two options. You can either reduce it, and it gives you 5 over 2. Or on this one, if you would like to write it as a decimal, you can. It is 2.5. Okay, but so one of those two for that answer. You can't leave it as 20 over 8 because you can reduce it. All right, and then the other one, 4 minus 16 would give you negative 12. So x equals negative 12 over 8. You can reduce that as well. You would get, what would that be? Negative 3 over 2. Remember, make your calculator reduce it if you don't feel like it. Or you could write negative 1.5. So either of those two answers. Okay. Next one. Alrighty, let's add 4. Add 4. So we have 2x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0, because those cancel. So my a is 2. My b is negative 1, and my c is negative 2. Yes, I'm going to sing that goofy song. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, fill it all in. So I have negative times my b is -1 plus or minus the square root of my b, -1 to the second power minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is -2, all over 2 times my a, which is 2. Okay, pause it, put it in your calculator. Okay, whenever you do that, you get 17. So I have the square root, So I have the square root of 17, and I'm going to bring everything else down, but clean it up while I do that. Negative times -1 is +1, and then the denominator would end up being 4. Okay, so let's talk about it. This one is not a nice, easy square root. It is an irrational number. So can we simplify the square root of 17? Does 16 go into it? No. Does 9 go into it evenly? No. 4, no. So you cannot simplify. This is as simplified as it gets, right? So if you would like, since you can't simplify, your options are the following. So you can either leave it just like this, which is what I would do, or if it makes you happy, you could write 1 plus the square root of 17 over 4 and 1 minus the square root of 17 over 4. Okay, so either one of those options, I would stick with the one I'm circling because it's, of course, the shortest option. And this only works if you cannot simplify. Okay? All right, on to the next one. So I've got, let's label our A. So our A is 4 for this one. Our B is 2. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Move that 8 over. My bad. So I have 4x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. So then that means my C is -5. Sing the goofy song. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so I have negative times my b, which is 2, plus or minus the square root of b, which is 2, to the second power, minus 4 times a, so 4 times 4 times c, which is -5, all over 2 times my a. Okay, pause it, put it in your calculator. Okay, whenever you do that, you get the square root of 84. Then bring everything else down. That's just a -2. And then the denominator is an 8. Okay, this one's a little different. So let's see, off to the side, let's see, can you simplify the square root of 84? Okay, so whenever you do this, you take 84 and cut it in half, and you get 42, right? So then look at my poster at the top of the board. 42 would be right in between 36 and 49, right? So we've got 36, I'll write them all out so you can see how I do this because I'm not there to teach you how. Okay, so 42 would be right here in between. So let's start at 36 and work our way down. Does 36 go evenly into 84? The answer is no. Okay, then go on to the next one. Does 25 go evenly? No. 16, put it in your calculator. I had to. The answer is no. 9, no. 4, yes. So this breaks up into the square root of 4, and then 4 times what gives you 84? It's going to be 21. So this would be, square root of 4 is 2, of course. So this would be 2 square roots of 21. Let's double check. Can you take the square root of 21? 9 doesn't go into it. 14, no. 1, of course, but doesn't matter. All right, so now this ends up being -2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 21 over 8. Okay, so this next part, you have to see if you can reduce it. Okay, so whenever you look at that, you have to look at the numbers on the outside of the root. You can't reduce something like a regular number and then something that's in a square root. So look at those three numbers. Is there something we could reduce all three, not just two, all three? And the answer is yes, right? You can divide all of those by what? 2. So let's do it. So we've got, when we divide this by 2, we get -1. When we divide this by 2, we get 1 square root of 21. And then when we divide this by 2, we get 4. So your final answer for this problem is going to be -1 plus or minus. You can write it one of two ways. You can either write it as 1 square root of 21, like I wrote over there in red, or just the square root of 21. That's how I'm going to write it, all over 4. Okay, this is, I know it's kind of a gross looking answer, but that's the most simplified answer you can have. And yeah, so that's your answer. Leave it just like that. If you want to split it up, you can. Okay, that is it for the first part of this lesson. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.